first and foremost, we want to treat every brand like it's our own. That's being an extension of the brand through true partnerships. Anybody can sell products on Amazon, but to provide a partnership is a whole different level, right? We've invested into our facility, our resources, our people to support that. So treating every brand like our own is managing its relationships, inventory control, everything from working on side-by-side on Pacific.
Welcome to Business Ninjas, brought to you by WriteForMe, where you'll hear from business leaders who are out there growing their business and slaying it every day. Learn from the masters. Let's get started.
Hey everybody, welcome back for another episode of Business Ninjas. I'm here today with Andrew Roush. He's the Vice President of Sales and Marketing at Online Selling Partner. Andrew, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. And before we get started, I want to make a quick goal that I hope I can keep. So Kelsey, you have to hold me accountable. I listen to podcasts and speakers from time to time, and I really start to learn something new when it's more than just the individual or a company, which I'm excited to talk about today, but it's about a takeaway. So if you hold me accountable, I want to share something that helps others grow, something that people learn from my failures or successes. I'm thinking about my responses for your audience perspective and how it might help.
Deal. Virtual handshake. You got it. Great. So Andrew, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So for those who don't know me, my name is Andrew Roush. I currently live in Southern Indiana now, but I grew up in Tucson, Arizona with three very, very competitive brothers. Saying no to competition just didn't seem to happen very often, but it always made things fun and interesting. Fast forward, and while I was in college, I took a sales internship that turned into a full-time role kind of in a healthcare tech space. I played in that industry for about 10 years, had some really cool opportunities traveling all across the country. I focused on large enterprise B2B deals. I also kind of landed in a management role during that time, which I enjoyed, but eventually tried something new and jumped into the space I'm at now, which is more the e-commerce industry. So here I lead sales and marketing at a company called Online Selling.
Interesting. Sounds like you've had an interesting journey, kind of getting you to where you are now. Holy cow, words. Tell me a little bit more about Online Selling Partner.
Happy to. So maybe I'll start off with the broader context. So there's 2.5 million sellers on Amazon today. We are in the top 0.01% of those sellers. We are considered to be what's called an invitation-only company. So we just don't partner with any brand. We have revenue thresholds on who we work with. But in short, we help brands take control of their listings and grow out marketplaces. What we solve is really dependent on the brand themselves. Some cases, they don't have control of their listings and they're having a hard time going through the experience. We can help there. And or in other cases, they're just having a difficult time growing sales. We help there as well. So we do all this through the model of it being free. So literally, we don't charge any services, any fees for our services. We actually purchase pallet-sized quantities of products. We work up a margin, and that's kind of where we make our money.
Holy cow. So talk to me a little bit more kind of about Online Selling Partner and the solutions that you offer.
It's a suite of services. So it's everything from optimization to content, SEO, different strategies, so forth. I think the biggest thing we offer is just the experience and time in this space. So as you probably well know, nobody graduates college with a degree in e-commerce on Amazon, right? Or Walmart.com. But for those who have been doing it as long as we have, you've learned how to kind of follow the algorithm, the reaction of it, how to become, one of those top sellers per se, and make the impact. But at the end of the day, our job is to provide solutions that support our brand partnerships, to take all the heavy lifting, all the pressure off of them, and we carry that load for them.
Mm-hmm. And do you think it's being, in that top, I think you said 0.01%, right? You don't get there just by, luck. So talk to me a little bit about how Online Selling Partner is really able to differentiate itself and really excel and be in that top percent.
Yeah, it's taken time, right? I mean, we have failed plenty of times, but we like to think we failed fast and we learn from our mistakes. There's really three things, kind of what we've identified as our core value propositions here at OSP. So first and foremost, we want to treat every brand like it's our own. That's being an extension of the brand through true partnerships. Anybody can sell products on Amazon, but to provide a partnership is a whole different level, right? We've invested into our facility, our resources, our people to support that. So treating every brand like our own is managing its relationships, inventory control, everything from working on side-by-side decisions. The second thing is providing a turnkey experience. So in most orgs, even outside of our industry, once a contract is signed, sales kind of cleans their hands and walks away. We're really big about the brand partnership experience here at OSP. So our sales team will actually continue the onboarding process anywhere from 30 to 90 days with these brands to make sure that they are geared up and teed up for the incremental growth that we're looking for after we solve the headaches. And then lastly, probably not least for sure, is just understanding the media data. Data is huge in our world. Data helps us drive decisions. For example, I guess like any business role, you or me, right? We're being measured on KPIs, goals. It's the same for our brands and the level of accountability that we service to them.
So, talking about that onboarding process, what does that look like for, your clients with Online Selling Partner?
Yeah, good question. So we call it the OSP Impact Process. Kind of cheesy, but it's coined here. When onboarding begins, you'll have access to a handpicked team being drawn from 4 different departments where we set, monitor, and accomplish deliverables one step at a time. So you're working with expertise in each category that impacts Amazon and these listings to help support your brand over that 30 to 90 day window I mentioned earlier. And then from there, you have ongoing support through our marketplace solutions team and designated account manager. So that is pivotal. We kind of feel, in the way we describe it through our analogy, is like we kind of go through the dating phase early on. Once we ink an agreement together, you're at the honeymoon, right? And that's supposed to be a very special time. So we want to make it special. And then from there, you're in marriage and you're constantly growing and learning together to do what you can to accomplish overall growth.
That's fantastic. So, you said in the beginning of this podcast that you wanted to make sure that, there was one takeaway. So when you're talking about developing that team, I imagine that there's some tips or best practices that, your team looks to share with businesses. What would you say some of those, tips or best practices are for businesses looking to maximize their success with Online Selling Partner?
I think it's kind of being that consultative educator. It's a bit of a overused phrase, being that consultant seller or that consultant value add, but we're constantly focused on how do we bring value to our brand partners. So paying attention to industry trends, trying to set our own industry trends in the right areas, kind of where our sweet spot is, so to speak. And that's going to thought leadership conferences. We actually have a conference later on that we're co-hosting in August called the Ecommerce Summit. And that is where we're bringing some of the biggest and brightest minds to this space to be able to talk about all things Amazon, profitability, things that are just super important as we kind of head into this unique economy that we're in right now. But on the day-to-day with our account management team, with our sales team, with our marketing team, it's constantly diving deep to learn more. And as I mentioned before, I said, hey, nobody graduated with an e-commerce degree. On Amazon, it's no different from once you're in this space, to continuing to learn, continue to dive and do a lot of testing, right? I mentioned being data-driven. So a lot of testing to see how certain products perform at certain things. And we call it A/B testing, but essentially we're watching data to see how the algorithm reacts to it and what's most responsive with that. So, we truly view ourselves as an extension of our brand partners that help us support them.
I think that's really interesting. And, Andrew, I'd love to pick your brain for a minute too, kind of talking about a lot of misconceptions. I think people think that they understand kind of the e-commerce world. So talk to me, are there, a lot of misconceptions or kind of misinformation that you hear often?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to get a little niche here. First and foremost, like, for example, when you talk about marketplaces like Amazon, Walmart, you can even go as far as Target, eBay, different ones. Brands or companies, manufacturers themselves think that, hey, we're already on the platform, we're seeing sales, we're doing well. Well, the reality is everybody, especially, during and after COVID, had seen that natural growth curve that those marketplaces offer, right? It's just this kind of ongoing curve that's heading up. So we all ride that wave. Well, the best go after that market share, right? There's a differentiation on your expertise, your understanding the platform, what's going well, paying attention to data to say, how do I capture that market share over my number 1, 2, 3 competitors in the space? That's probably the first thing. The second thing kind of ties into it, which is, nobody's quite figured this space out perfectly. I think anybody who says they have it down, you better run. When you're young, this is e-commerce is constantly evolving and changing. And every time we're sleeping, something's changing. Wake, pay attention to that. But what do you do, right, when you want financial advice? You go to an advisor. What do you do when your tooth hurts? You go to a dentist. hopefully. Why is that? They're the experts. So trying to lean into other people just to learn more about what your options are and kind of what exists out there to get help.
I think that's fantastic. Andrew, I think this has been a great conversation. As we start to wrap up, is there anything that you want to leave our listeners with that we didn't necessarily hit on, whether it be a little more tips and tricks, a little more insight from the industry, anything you want to leave our listeners with?
Yeah, so this one's, I'm going to go a little bit outside the industry just in general here. That's impacted me. So piece of advice that I would maybe share would be ask for help. I consider myself to be a kind of do-it-yourself type, roll up my sleeves and get it done. That's paid off very well in my career, but it pays off more when you work together with a team and you trust them to do stuff as well. And I'm sure a lot of people like me where you feel like nobody else can do it as good. But the reality is once you pour into your team and your colleagues, you provide the training and support, mentorship, I have found that, once you do that, you'll see a set of gifts and skills that you may not necessarily have that they do. And in my case, I never have that they did. And I'll leave you with this. There's an old African proverb that I really like. If you go fast, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
I love that. And it sounds true that Online Selling Partner is a true partner. And I think that ties back to that African proverb, making sure that, you guys are, lockstep with each other, making sure that you're able to support your clients in the best way possible. So, Andrew, I think this has been a great conversation and I really appreciate you being on Business Ninjas today.
Thank you for having me.
Great to have you.